Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon and today I am back with my January book haul because I know we're in February but I still need to do my haul, which I'm going to be doing in this video with some of the books that I was sent by publishers, some lovely gifts that I got sent, and also lots of lovely books that I bought myself. But also I'll be doing my January wrap up on Sunday of everything that I read. It was a very good reading month. I don't think that's a spoiler to say. And actually I'm saying that I'm hoping to do a little bit of a what I read in January dump on Instagram, because I did intend at the start of January to log everything that I read on my Instagram stories. However, with the incident that happened at the start of January, I got thrown out of whack a little bit, I think is how I best put it. But I'm feeling much better with everything now. And yes, I want to get quick on that. I also need to be better at talking about the savage reading prompts on socials. I will do that. I mean, I talk about them a bit in blogs. So you've always got those. There'll be another blog coming on Thursday. Anyway, that's all the channel admin. Well, one little bit. Is this too autumnal for this time of year? I have been wondering this since I put it on. I love it. It's like autumn in a jumper, but we are headed, like it's sunny today, even though it's really cold. So it feels like we're heading for spring and maybe this isn't giving that. Anyway, enough about my knitwear. Oh, there's like an orb that just flew over there. It's literally landing on me now. There's nothing here, quite spooky. That's enough knitwear admin and enough channel admin. Let's get on with books that arrived in January. So, as always, I'm going to start with some books that I have shown on the channel before, but they've arrived in, well, in this case, all of them in finished hardback editions. The first of which is The South by Tash Aw. It's giving Brat Summer, isn't it? That green, let's not lie. And this is a love story set between two young men over, I think, a summer actually, and is one that I want to get to very soon. I'm really keen that when I have a proof and then a hardback comes, I get to the proof, because it will help me get through some of the books that I'm very excited about that are coming up in the not too distant future. This is out later this month, I think. So a January haul, but a February release. Also, I think in February is The Boyhood of Cain by Michael Amherst. I've read this. This is brilliant. This is set in a school. It's got mild sort of dark academia vibes to it, but it's also really about class. It's about coming of age. It's about how we have certain desires towards people that we can't always put our fingers on. I want to reread this because I inhaled it in advance of doing the Faber showcase in Manchester back before Christmas. So yeah, I would like to get to that one again. Then we have Carrion by Heather Parry. Now, Heather Parry is an author who I've been very naughty with, as I have all of her books. I haven't read a single one of them, and yet I feel like she's going to be an author that I adore. This is about a woman who is sent into confinement because her mother says it's best for her. Well, instantly, that raises many questions, but sounds delightfully gothic. And so yeah, I think this is going to be a corker, as I do Old Soul. This is Susan Barker's latest novel. I absolutely loved The Incarnations, which came out quite a few years ago. I just thought it was fantastic and was really thrilled to see that Mum read it last year and she really loved it too. This, I think, has a vampiricness to it. I don't think that's a term, but I'm going to run with it. Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Again, I want to get to this one soon. And then another one which I've read already. I mean, who am I? Who is this talking to you right now? Is The City Changes Its Face by Eimear McBride, but very much like the Michael Amherst, I really want to reread this because I binged it before I did that Faber showcase, and I think this is out in March, if not February. I haven't got my dates there. It doesn't say them on the side with the proofs. So yes, those are books that I've shown you all before. On to books that I haven't. And first up we have The Handmade God by Rachel Joyce. I have not read any Rachel Joyce. I've had the pleasure of meeting her a few times and she's absolutely wonderful. And Sarah Winman, who's quoted on the cover of this proof, has said to me before, you would really love Rachel's work. So this is going to be my first, even though it's her latest, and I'm looking forward to going back. There's one of her backlist, Mrs. Benson's Beetle, that I've meant to read for ages. I really want to get the American edition though, because that cover is delightful. I think this is about a family. Well, on the back it says, family is everything, even when it falls apart. I don't want to know too much going into this. I just want to experience it as I read. I know, I do that all the time. I don't really like to know too much about a book before I go into it. I've heard so much praise for Rachel Joyce, and actually Jane Campbell always raves about Rachel Joyce too. So yeah, very excited for this one. And also, got a second copy, which I've popped on the spare room bedside table because when I next see Mum, I've got one for her, which actually, I'm going to switch these around, leads to the next book, which I have 2 copies of. I have The Book of Guilt by Catherine Chidgey in red and indeed in yellow. And the yellow one, which kind of goes with this actually, is for my mother. Mum is a Catherine Chidgey stan. I have yet to read Pet. I've yet to read, well, we'll talk about another one of Catherine Chidgey's books actually shortly. And I've yet to read The Book of Guilt. I did read Remote Sympathy and it wasn't really for me. Now, I don't think it was the book. It's the fact that I really struggle with books, be they fiction or non-fiction, set around the world wars. However, having heard my mum rave about her so much, and also a lovely Patreon of mine, Rachel, has raved about Catherine Chidgey too, so I need to get to it. But now I'm deciding, do I start with her, or not start, restart I guess, with her latest, or do I go back to Pet, or indeed another one that I'll be talking about shortly? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'd find that very, very helpful. Then we have a book that is going to be really interesting to read, almost like a partner read to a non-fiction book that I'm currently reading. The book that I'm currently reading is it's not The Favourite, it's The Scapegoat by Lucy Hallett-Hughes, which is all about George Villiers, who was the lover of James I, and this is Queen James, all about James I. This is by Gareth Russell, and I'm on a bit of a sort of James I, George Villiers kick, I guess. And so this is one that I would like to head to as, like I said, like a companion piece to The Scapegoat, although that could be a while away because The Scapegoat is incredibly readable but absolutely flipping massive, and this is quite a big boy too. So yes, there we have that. Then this arrived just the other day and I got very excited because I've been wanting to buy this when it came out in hardback and I just didn't. I'm trying to be a bit more resistant to hardbacks, as we will discuss when we come to the books that I bought myself, but I had intended to get this in paperback. It's Meet Me at the Surface by Jodie Matthews. Now this is giving me slight Essex Serpent vibes, mainly I will say because of the cover, also because I think it's set not where the Essex Serpent was, around Essex. This is set in Cornwall, but I think it's that sort of landscape, again a bit moory, a bit seasidey, and that intrigues me. I think it's got a queer twist to it possibly, or a queerness to it, and it's got a character called Merrin in it, and I love the name Merrin. It's one of my absolute faves, so that really, really appealed to me. But also on the back, Tom DeFreston's raved about it, so that's a good sign. So very much looking forward to this. That's out in a couple of weeks. Then out in May, we have a new Maggie Nelson. This is Pathemata, or The Story of My Mouth. Now, I was a huge fan of The Argonauts. It's a book that I describe as taking the top of your head off, Maggie Nelson pouring loads of ideas into it, popping the top of your head back on, shaking it about and saying, go and have a way and think about this, all around bodies and queerness and queer families and all sorts of brilliant stuff. I loved it. I then read Bluets, which I also thought was brilliant, but there was something about freedom and another one that she's written recently that put me off. I felt like they were too big brain energy for me. This, though, I feel like because it's shorter and a bit more vignette-y, might get me back on my Maggie Nelson kick. I do have the red parts and, what's the book about her auntie that they talk to each other, because one's about Jane, I think it is, a murder, about her aunt's murder, and then the red parts is about the course case. I would like to read those as companion kind of pieces. But yeah, this is coming out in May and I'm excited for it. So we have that. Now, I must at some point actually get cracking with reading the Faber editions because I've been sent not one but two. The first of which sounds right up my street. This is Our Sister Killjoy by Aidoo. And this, I don't know when this originally came out, but it's all about a woman who just sort of her whole life comes into question, and it just sounds like my kind of thing. So that's reminded me that I need to get a wriggle on with those. And then we also have The Lowlife by Alexander Barron, which doesn't instantly, from the cover, make me desperate to read it, although I quite like this autumnal brown. See, I do feel like I'm very autumnal today. I'm obsessing over it. Let's all move swiftly on. These two are the latest to come out. I've just seen that Benjamin Myers has got a quote on the back of this one, so that is a good sign. I'd like to get to this one definitely very soon, and at some point all of the Faber editions. I don't know if I should read them in order or just in any random way that I fancy. I do find, and I've been thinking about this with the Persephone classics, there is a part of me that loves order and loves doing things in just the right way, and then there's a much bigger part of me that likes to go rogue, and sometimes they battle with each other. So with the Persephone classics, I stated years ago when I had my blog that I wanted to read them in order of Persephone publishing them, and I never got around to it. I think it hemmed me in, but then when I go to read random now, oh no, I should read them in order. Anyway, that's a quandary that none of you needed to know about, but now you do. Then we have Look at You, a novel by Amanda Smyth, and this sounds like it's going to be very me. So this came unsolicited. In fact, pretty much all of these did, with the exception of, I mean, I wanted to buy that, but I wouldn't have asked for it necessarily because I don't tend to ask for paperbacks, actually. I tend to just ask for proofs. This one I did ask for on behalf of me and Mum, and then this one I did do a naughty hint on Instagram that I would like it. Oh, I've not done the dates that they're coming out either.
Let's do a quick whiz where we do that. Sorry everybody, quick recap. The Handmade God by Rachel is coming out in April. The Book of Guilt is coming out in May. Queen James is out later this month. Me at the Third is out later in February too. This I did say was out in May. I think these are out imminently. I don't have the exact dates for them. And then this is out in... It doesn't say on it, so I don't want to make it up. Soon, I'll try to look at the graphic and go look them up, because pre-orders are really important.
This sounds like it's going to be very me. It's one of those books that looks at how cultures come together, how they clash, how they sort of do that. Not repel, I don't like that word, but at the same time it is when magnets slightly off against each other. It's about a young woman whose life and family shift between Trinidad and England, and I think it's going to be really interesting. So yeah, very keen to get to that at some point, as I am, and this is one of my most anticipated books of the year that I was thrilled to get. It's Slags by Emma Jane Unsworth, just singular Slags, although they've put it a lot on the very arresting cover. I was laughing thinking about how people might ask for this in bookshops or in libraries. It's going to be, oh, I'd really like, that book, it's orange with a girl smoking on the cover. I really love Emma Jane Unsworth's writing, and this, I think, is going to be a real treat with lots of 90s nostalgia. So yeah, this is out in May. Very keen to get to that soon. This is a book that I said, yes, please, I would like a copy of when I was emailed about it, and that is Love in Exile by Shon Faye. I thought, oh, it's got a quote I've just spotted on the back from Maggie Nelson saying, uncommonly wise and honest, Love in Exile flooded me with a sense of continuity and hope, a masterpiece. As Shon Faye grew up quietly obsessed with the feeling that love was not for her, not just romantic love, the secret fear of her own unworthiness penetrated every corner of her life. So yeah, I think this is going to be intriguing, and I'd like to get to this one very soon. I want to read a lot of non-fiction, so we have that. Then, last of the books from publishers is The Woman in the Wallpaper by Lora Jones, and I'm going to be hosting an event with Lora and also Alex Hay and Amelia Hart in Manchester towards the end of March. I will link that event down below if you'd like to come along. And we're going to be talking about historical fiction. I'm really looking forward to it because I do love historical fiction. I don't get to it as much as I should, and I've heard that this is meant to be an absolute banger. I love that cover. It's giving the fact, I don't know, it's giving me, oh my goodness, I've just seen one, the end papers, but also the fact that Laura's wearing a dress that matches the wallpaper behind her. That is absolute genius. Oh, and she studied at Durham University. I love Durham. And lives in North Wales, and I love North Wales. Anyway, yeah, I'm very excited for this. It says underneath, some patterns destined to be repeated. Again, don't want to know too much about this before I go into it, but I'm getting very good vibes. Right. So, those are all the books from publishers. Next up, the lovely folk at the Nero Book Awards very kindly sent me their 4 category winners, which will go head to head for one of them to win the overall Nero Book Award 2024. In the fiction category, we have Lost in the Garden by Adam S. Leslie, which is out from Dead Ink Press, which is very exciting. Dead Ink are a publisher and bookshop very close to me, just on the other side of the river, actually, in Liverpool. And yeah, I've heard amazing things about this. This is meant to be kind of like a folky horror. I need to get these read. In fact, I am planning on doing a vlog where I read all of these very, very soon. Then in the children's category, we have The 12 by Liz Hyder, illustrated by the aforementioned Tom DeFreston. So very, very much looking forward to this. I don't know anything about it, which excites me. Then we have Wild Houses by Colin Barrett, which was up for the Booker. This is the category winner for the debut fiction category. And this book, I feel like me and this book are destined, because I got sent, I think, 3 proofs of it, then a finished copy, and now this has arrived as well, because I said yes to getting the category winners before I knew what they were. Otherwise, I would have said, oh no, I've already got that one. I'm looking forward to getting to this in due course. And then we have the non-fiction category winner, which I think is the one I'm currently the most excited about, and that is Morris and Marilyn by Sophie Elmhurst, which I mentioned recently when I did my 5-star predictions video. I'll link that down below if you've missed it. I think the reason that I'm really excited about this is just the subtitle, which is A Whale, a Shipwreck, a Love Story. I mean, that just sounds super duper intriguing, and also is the sort of premise that if it was in a novel, I'd probably go, I'm not so sure that's real, but this is based on true things that happened, true happenings, that's what I wanted to say. Really, really looking forward to that. Then on to some gifts from some of you lovely lot. First up from my wish list from the lovely Siobhan is I'm a Fool to Want You, stories by Camilla Sosa Velada, who wrote Bad Girls. I should say also it's translated by Kit Maud. And I started Bad Girls, which is called, I think, Queens of Sacramento Park in the UK, and was really, really enjoying it, but it was the right book at the wrong time, and I want to head back to that. But I loved the writing so much. When I saw this, I was like, oh, I'd really, really like to get my mitts on it. And it's not out here in the UK. And books that are on my wish list, which is always linked down below, have to be books that I can't get in a independent bookshop, or indeed a high street bookshop in the UK. That is my rule. So we have that. And then a huge thank you to one of my lovely Patreons, Mirza, who got me, and I'm so excited for this. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. I mean, it came out last year technically, but it's come out in America this year. I don't know when or if it's coming out in the UK. I hope it does, fingers crossed. This is The Capital of Dreams by Heather O'Neill. I'm just a huge fan of Heather. Admittedly, I've only read one and a bit of her books. I've got distracted by the shininess, sorry. I loved her novel, The Lonely Hearts Hotel, when it was longlisted for the Women's Prize. I thought it was fantastic, and I bought all of her books. And indeed, I started, but never got around to finishing, again, case of right book, wrong time, this, which is When We Lost Our Heads, which was her last novel. But I just really like her. I love her social media, and I loved watching her on Canada Reads last year. She was a brilliant competitor, is that the right term? Champion of her book. So yeah, very excited for this and thrilled that it's arrived, and a huge thank you to Mirza for sending me that, because yeah, very excited for that one. I said Mirza, I meant Miser. I'm so sorry, Miser. That was naughty of me. Anyway, thank you so much for sending this all the way from Canada. Very excited for it. Now, on to books that I bought myself, starting with 2 books that I got in Waterstones at various points. In fact, the first one actually was my first buy of the year, and it was Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, and I blame predominantly Lauren from Lauren and the Books, and indeed actually Mercedes, because she talked about being tempted by it. I bought this in the Waterstone sale because I could not resist the spreads, and so at some point I will head to this. I feel a bit like I need to head to this at sort of Halloween-y time. A little bit how I feel about Lady Gaga releasing Abracadabra right now. I think if she released it in October, that would have been like an instant #1, getting all the gays and ghouls dancing on the dance floor to that banger. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to this at some point. I also picked up Colson Whitehead's The Intuitionist, and I talked about this in a previous vlog. I had a very up and down relationship with it, so it's a DNF for now, but possibly a DNF forever. The reason that I bought this is it just sounded so up my street, in the fact that it was about the first female black elevator inspector in this kind of alternate version of New York, in an alternate version of the 1850s, very noir. And I was like, oh, this just really intrigues me. But yeah, we'll talk about that more in my wrap up. Then we have the next set of books, which are all bought at independent bookshops. In fact, everything bar the last book that I bought myself this month is from indie bookshops. First, from West Kirby Books, I picked up Cinema Love by Jia-Ming Tang. Now, I do have a proof of this, and I did have a hardback edition. However, I really love this cover more, and so I gave the hardback to a friend, and I've kept the proofs that I can bash that about, and then this will be the copy that I keep. I feel like this is going to be a super duper me book. It is set in, is it in the 80s? It might be earlier than that, but it's set in New York's Chinatown, and it's about a cinema where queer men go. Well, it's a covert cinema in the fact that they go and watch films, but actually other stuff happens. But I think this book, whilst looking at those men, also looks at their wives, and that really intrigues me. Then, and I blame Mercedes again for this because she sold it to me. This was also up for the Nero Book Awards. I'm shortlisted but didn't win its category. It's Levitation for Beginners by Susanna Dunn, and that cover is giving as much autumn as this jumper. I'm not saying that I'll save this until autumn, but this sounds really interesting. I think it's about two young girls who are coming of age and they're friends, and then I think a boy comes into their life and things change quite a lot. It just sounds really interesting, and I feel like Susanna Dunn has predominantly written historical fiction before this one, so that really intrigues me. I think I said intrigues me quite a lot, but it does. It intrigues me. I'm looking forward to it. So I got those two from West Kirby Bookshop. Now, I can't remember which different bookshops I bought these in Oxford. I've mixed them all up. I think this one was Gold Fiction. This is Human Animal by Seth Insuer, and this is a father-son novel, which I don't read that often, but I don't think I see that many, or do I? Am I making that up? Are there that many? I feel like there's more mother and daughter novels than there are father and son, and I'm trying to think how many mother and sons novels there are. I'm just thinking that because of me. Anyway, moving on. It's, I think, rural queerness, and I'm all for that, so I bought it. I've seen it quite a few times on social media. At the lovely Daunt Books in Summertown, where I host an event with Lottie Hazel, just last week actually, I picked up The Axeman's Carnival by the aforementioned Catherine Chidgey. I love this paperback. I was very kindly sent the bigger trade paperback edition. I didn't love that as much, but that I think is great. The fact that there's one magpie wing with a bit of blood on it intrigues me. I don't know too much about this other than I shouldn't technically like it because it has a talking, or is narrated by a magpie, and I don't tend to like books narrated by animals, or indeed with talking animals in them. However, I have heard this also looks at abusive relationships in a very frank, unfiltered way. And there's a sort of psychological nature to this that intrigues me. And that's how I feel about Pet as well. Pet seems to be this really interesting literary psychological thriller, and that's what's drawing me in to Catherine Chidgey's writing. I don't know if I've got that vibe actually from the Book of Guilt, but just the title alone, the Book of Guilt, sounds like there's a lot of intrigue going on there. Then I was a little bit naughty because I went and bought all of these, and I've just said these were all bought in independent bookshops. Blackwell's isn't an independent bookshop anymore, but in my head it still is, even though it's now owned by Waterstones. Not that there's anything wrong with Waterstones, but they do have like a massive part of the market now with Waterstones, Foyles and Blackwells. But anyway, I went a bit wild in the aisles before I headed back on the train and picked up, first of all, we have Strange Beach by Oluwaseun Olewola, and this is the first poetry collection from Fitzcarraldo Editions.
Now, I have given Fitzcarraldo Editions not a hard time, but I do find their novels being blue with white writing and then the non-fiction being white with blue writing. I don't know, it's a bit, I feel like it looks really samey. I know sometimes that's really attractive, and for some reason with Stephanie looks it doesn't bother me so much, but with Fitzcarraldo it kind of does. Anyway, well, we move on from that because I do like the fact they've done this with their poetry, where you have white and then this box of blue. I love the blue that they use. I've gone off on a huge tangent about that, but these things matter as a book buyer, I won't lie.
This is meant to be incredible queer poetry, and I love queer poetry, and I'm intrigued because it looks at again, I think those culture clashes, magnets, merges, etc. between Nigeria and America. So I think that's going to be really fascinating. In fact, I feel like I could end up curling up with this very afternoon after I finish filming this. I also got Joshua Fox's What You Into, and I'd seen this on the Readings website, which is where I buy my books from Australia and get them shipped over, and then realised it was already out actually in the UK, so decided to get it in a UK bookshop. This is all about how, it's a memoir about Joshua and how his marriage broke up, and I can't work out whether it's because he got addicted to apps like Grindr or whether it broke up and then he got addicted, but I'm really intrigued to hear his story because I think it's incredibly frank and very much unflinching, and I do like those two things in a book. Also non-fiction, need to read more of it. And the next book will also help me with reading more non-fiction. This is Your Little Matter by Maria Grazia Calandrone, and it's translated by Antonella Lettiera, and it's from Foundry Editions, who are quite a new publishing house. This is their second book. I read their first in January. I'll be talking about it in my wrap up. It was recommended by another one of my patrons, the wonderful Jamila, and it's called Brandy Sour. I thought it was absolutely incredible. Can't wait to tell you more about that on Sunday. I was like, right, I am going to read these in the order that they're published. So this is scratching that itch and me wanting to read books from publishers in order. Doing this so I can go wild with the other ones. This is a memoir, and well, I'm going to read you the below this because that's what drew me to it. So it says, Rome, 1965, a man and a woman excluded from Italian society abandoned their 8-month-old daughter in the Villa Borghese, and take extreme action. In 2021, that child, author Maria Grazia Calandrone, sets out to discover the truth about what happened and examining the places where her mother lived, suffered, worked and loved. I think it's going to be brilliant. Really, really, really excited for that one. As I am another book by a small indie press. This is, I don't know if this is the first or the second Weatherglass novella. This is Earth by Deborah Tonkins. I read Estrella, which is another of the Weatherglass novellas, again in January. Absolutely loved it, and so wanted to get the next one. This is a story about, I think, an alternate version of Earth where they are in the Ice Age. It just sounds super duper intriguing, and after loving Estrella as much as I did, again, can't wait to talk to you about that on Sunday. I was like, right, I need to read more from this publisher. And then a book which I've seen do the rounds a little bit at the end of the year, but I'm going to give the wonderful Brett, whose channel I'll link down below, credit for this, because his rave about this really, really, really made me want to get it. And it is Ben Shattuck's The History of Sound, which is a collection of short stories. It's been... I think it's being adapted with Paul Mescal and the hot one from The Crown, and also Challenges. I can't think of his name. I want to say Josh. I'm not sure that's quite right. But apparently these short stories all interlink in some really interesting way that's based on like the rhythm of music or something. Brett puts it way better than me, so go and check his channel out down below. And yeah, I'm really, really excited for this because I've heard fantastic things. And then last but not least, I already had this book on my shelves. However, I want to get every single book that Sarah Jessica Parker has published, and her latest book is The Story of the Forest by the wonderful Linda Grant, who I have read and adored works of previously. This cover, I think, is absolutely stunning. I did love the UK edition, but there's something about this that, I don't know, it's just got me. I'm really, really keen to, at some point, read all of the books that have been published by SJ Lit. As soon as I get the latest one, although I'm actually waiting for one to be shipped from America, but as soon as I get one, they announce another, because they have just announced that another book is coming in April. So maybe I'll try and read all of these before that comes out then, I don't know, or wait until after that. I don't know. I'm trying not to second guess or put things out there that I might not get around to it. Or there's that thing of me being like, I really want to do this particular vlog, but if I put it out there and someone else does it first, I'll be furious. Anyway, really, really looking forward to getting to this. And actually, I'm a little bit annoyed with myself for not having read that sooner, because I do love Linda Grant's writing. So that is my January book haul. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these books that you've read, if you like them. If you didn't like them, don't tell me about that now, please no. Because I am excited about them and I don't want anyone, I was going to say pissing on my chips. Come on, Simon, you can be a little less base than that. But I don't want anyone ruining my excitement, frankly. Once I've read them, if you didn't like any of them, and whether I liked them, didn't like them, whatever, we can have a chat about it in the comments down below on that video. But for now, hold fire. We can have that chat in due course. Anyway, I'm going to go. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be lovely. I always forget to say that in videos. As I mentioned, my Patreon, my wishlist, my Blue Sky, my Instagram, all of those things are linked down below. I hope you're reading something fabulous, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye.